So there we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, Gaylene, welcome back. Here's Monday here at WSAU, WSAU.com. I guess first off, the obvious question. This is the busiest I've ever seen the Village Hall. In-person absentee voting underway as we record this. You've been underway for about 2.5 days.
Yep.
Me being a metrics guy, I want to know, what's the voter turnout look like right now? With absentee ballots and in-person ballots that have been cast.
Well, that would probably be a question for the clerk, but I know that on the first day she said it was like 450 plus, which is crazy because we never expected. We kind of expected a busy day on that first day of voting on Tuesday, but we thought maybe it might die off. Nope, it kept busy, and there's been times where there's been a couple times where there's actually a line to get in to go ahead and vote.
And that's got to be great to see that people are excited about this. You're either excited because you're excited to vote, or maybe you're excited to vote to get it over with because you can't wait for the election to be over, right?
Well, that, and I guess beat the crowds that might show up on November 5th as well, or maybe they are not going to be around, so they truly have to come in and vote early.
Yeah, absolutely. So just let the folks know as we sit here, still got a week or just over a week to go before Election Day. What are your in-person absentee voting hours here at Village Hall?
So we open up at 8:30 a.m. and then we shut down by 4:30. So, and if any questions, please contact Rhoden, our clerk.
Yeah, and Lene's going to be ready to take some vacation time in the next couple of weeks.
I had a retired clerk who used to tell me that we're holding a party and we invited the entire town. So that's what it's all about. We're having a party.
I like it.
Yeah, we were holding a party and we invited the entire town.
I like that way of looking at it. I'm going to start using that line in the near future. But there's a couple other things that voters are going to notice when they come in to cast an in-person absentee ballot, or when they come in on Election Day. You actually, in a roundabout way, you need their vote twice. You need their vote legally once, and you need their vote again for an informal straw poll. Tell us about this.
So what we typically have done, we've done this the last couple of years. It's our way of engaging the residents, because sometimes you have when people are waiting or coming and walking through, that's the time that they have an opportunity to ask questions and interact with the staff. And so we've always had tables. So one of our tables that we have out is feedback on our entrance and park signs. So we have an opportunity. One of the things that we did as part of our updating to a village is we changed our logo and updated it. And now we're updating all the signs as you come into our community, because they still say town. So we're going to be updating those, and we would like the residents' feedback on it. So you can stick your one sticker on what are the designs that people are interested in seeing in the village, not only in the entrance signs, but also the park signs. Yeah,
and you actually have a good kind of a good array to choose from there. Several different designs. How did you come about putting those together?
So we went out for requests for proposals. We had sign companies that submitted proposals, and a couple of them submitted a couple options. So you might see one company who might actually have a couple designs. So that was one thing that the feedback from the village board, they're like, we like to hear what the residents like to see. And believe it or not, I wouldn't have guessed the one that seems to be the leader is getting a lot of votes, and that's good. That's exactly what we intended to do, was to get the feedback from the residents.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you're taking a straw poll of the community, so you just put the sticker right there next to the one that you think is best. And when you're done with this process, how are you going to come to a final conclusion? Obviously, that feedback is going to be taken into account.
Absolutely. So one of the things is, as part of the proposals, we went through each of the proposals to make sure they met the requirements and make sure that, what's going to make best fit for the village. And then the board wanted an opportunity to look at it too, because there was a lot of information for them to review. And I think they actually said, hey, can we have some dedicated time so that we can look at each of these proposals, and then having that feedback from the residents as part of that overall conversation. So absolutely, with the leading sign, I think it would be a little bit harder decision if there was sort of a tie going on, but little secret out there seems to be one that's leading. Who knows? We got November 5th yet, so there might be somebody else that rallies up as being the favorite.
the early returns are in, but we still have a lot. How many election cliches can we throw out
Exactly.
there with them? We just haven't. We just don't have the exit polling completed just yet. So,
No.
but yeah, it is great to see that the community is really. I mean, it seems like they're taking that seriously. Everybody who's in line to vote has been taking a sticker and making sure that they get a vote in this as well. And then just before that on the table. Another one of the little things when you switch from a town to a village, you're encouraging everybody to self-fix their address sign as well, correct?
Yeah, we actually did this at our last election, and hats off to our building inspector. He's the one that came up with this. So Jerry and Clues came up with the idea, like, why don't we just put this blue sticker right over the town? So we gave out, and got to remember, you got to take two because it's a two-sided sign. So the 6-digit address sign will now say the Village of Rib Mountain. So come on down. Doesn't have to be on election day. Can be anytime now. And even after the election, you're like, oh, I forgot. We have some. We're just encouraging people to do it. Not required, but certainly it's nice to see kind of that switch over from the town to the village.
That was one of the big points of this whole process. Was a point of pride. You wanted to be Rib Mountain. You wanted to be Rib Mountain between now and, well, the end of time, essentially. So and that's exactly what the people have been doing. You know, we're going to be there. We are Rib Mountain, and we're not changing. So,
All right.
yeah. So that's a couple of the things that people will see here when they come in to vote either on election day or cast that early in-person absentee ballot. As far as development goes, obviously there's been a lot of talk about development on Rib Mountain Drive. What do you know about all the names that have been in progress for the last year or so?
Well, it's continued to, I would say, chug along, but come along. I just had a conversation with our community development director. One of the things that I did notice along Red Mountain Drive is they pulled down the Bed Bath & Beyond sign. As you know, Ross for Less won't quite make it for the holidays based on what I've been told. So Ross for Less is probably going to be sometime in spring of 2025. And that does, kind of coincide what happened with Sportsman Warehouse. It takes time, it takes time for them to merchandise and make have all their displays, etc. So Ross for Less is obviously coming. Chipotle, I've been told spring of 25 as well. That's going to be the very first building that will be built. And as you can see, they're taking down the Olson carpet, the building that's coming down. And then Chick-fil-A, I know that's something of interest to you. Fall of 25 is what I've been told, sort of late fall. So hopefully a year from now we'll be having that conversation.
Yes.
And we'll be enjoying our waffle fries and Chick-fil-A.
Well, what's going to happen is a year from now we're actually going to have this conversation live on location from Chick-fil-A. And that's probably how happy I will be that Chick-fil-A is actually here, and I have not missed the boat on this the way I did in Sioux Falls. But yes, we will have that we're going to mark that down, that we will have that conversation. Woodman's has been another one. I know a lot of people have really been talking about Woodman's. Is there enough space? Would they be able to make it work? Will I be able to get an oil change with my groceries? Whatever that may be. What can you tell us about that location right now?
There is no real update on that. They're doing what they need to do on their end of things as far as working with the DNR and the Army Corps. So really not involving the village at this point in time. So I'm sure if whatever they have to do on their end, they're doing it. That's about the status of that project.
Right. Yeah. At some point, sometimes the answer is just we know as much as the public, right?
Pretty much. That's and sometimes the public knows more than we do, so that happens at times as well.
Absolutely. And then the other big thing that you're obviously working on right now is the village budget. Is this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first village budget? This isn't the first, this isn't township budget?
Nope, it would be our
quite.
Second one. Second one. So last year was our curve, adding in the water and sewer department. That was only the biggest change for our budget last year, but yeah, they will be finishing up hopefully this early next week, and we'll be ready for publication for the public hearing. A little bit different than what we had done previously with the town budget. I not only have I had years of working with the town of Rib Mountain, but also prior to that I worked for the formerly town of Menasha. So had a big town meeting with the townspeople voting on the actual levy. That's a little bit different. We still hold a public hearing and present our budget to the board or to the public and for feedback. And that's November 19th. They'll be doing that. That's what we've tentatively scheduled, is the 19th.
So from what you can tell us now with the budget, what have you been able to get in there? What have you been able to accomplish so far with the numbers the way they are? Of course, it's always subject to change right up until mid-November, right?
Well, it was a flat budget. That's one thing we had told staff. We were like, we're keeping this a flat budget because we knew and anticipated some increases, and we're obviously up against possibly having to go through an update on our assessment. So we wanted to keep the budget flat. One of the things that you can't necessarily is committed contracts that we had. So for example, we knew we were going to have a third deputy. We had already budgeted for it. So this year's budget, we had the budget for the full year for the deputy. The third deputy already started October 1st. Board's been really good about putting some money ahead of time. We work with Marathon County Sheriff's Department to give us about an 18-month lead when we added the additional officer, so that so our budget's not taking a huge hit that first year. So a portion of that is on our budget this year. Also was safer, that went up a bit too. Part of that was kind of a couple things, one being our percentage. So we have an agreement with the Village of Weston, and our share went up a portion. So that changes the number and makes us a little bit more responsible for some of the costs associated with that. That's going to obviously vary from year to year. And just like safer, the village experienced it too, was the increase in health insurance. And so that took a big hit to the budget as well. But outside of that, it's business as usual, just relatively a flat budget. We kept it as flat as we could. There's really no really new services or anything being added. It's keeping it small.
You know what they say sometimes, but boring is brilliant, right? Because boring is what keeps everything rolling, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah. So nothing changing, nothing cut as far as services or anything like that either.
So but residents though should be aware that there could be a reassessment coming for the now Village of Red Mountain in the next year or two. Is that correct?
Next year or two, we knew that was coming. So our percentage of our assessed ratio has come down significantly. And so Department of Revenue does require you to go and do a reval. So we had our reval completed in 2020. So we're getting upon that point where state's going to start knocking at our door and telling us we need to do the reval. So, but we had it written in our contract with our assessor, so we knew it was forthcoming.
Sure.
So we knew that it's going to be either this coming up year or the year after. So that's a conversation that the village board's got to have.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing where that conversation goes in the new year. Again, good luck with the election and everything, and we'll look forward to chatting again in the near future.
Okay.